Hello everybody, my name's Dr. Steve Hill. I'm the Chief Scientist from Geoscience Australia, and I'd like to very warmly welcome you here on behalf of Geoscience Australia, but also our co-hosts from the Embassy of Italy. It's great to work with the Italian Embassy. We've really enjoyed the journey, and now we're looking forward to seeing how it all comes together. I can feel the energy in the room. I think there's a lot of excitement about what we're going to experience today. I think there's also a little bit of risk-taking and uncertainty because people aren't quite sure what they're going to get. And I want to commend you all for that, because really taking some of those little risks are a big part of the discovery and the bigger journey that we're on in science, and also in taking science to a wider audience. And that's a big part of what this is about. I would like to begin by acknowledging the Ngunnawal people, who are the traditional custodians of this land on which we are meeting, and pay respect to the elders of the Ngunnawal Nation, both past and present. And I extend this respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples in attendance today. One of the things I want to also have you think about as part of this event is, as geoscientists or in geoscience, whether you're a geoscientist or perhaps someone who's not formally a geoscientist, I think you'll be aware that we're very much driven by visualization, optics. We want to produce visual imagery or some visualization of the data and what we see. We're very visually driven. And because of that, we do wonder what else we're missing. And this project that really takes electromagnetic data and transforms it into music, I think is a challenge for us to consider using all of our senses and all of ourselves when we look at and then connect with, beyond just looking at, our data and the information there. So I also want to thank the members of the band. We'll thank them a little bit more later after we've heard some of their work. I think that's probably enough from me. I would like to hand over to Anna Maria from the Italian Embassy to also just say a few words of welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Okay, ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests and dear friends. I have a lot of dear friends here today and very happy from Geoscience Australia, I mean, and other places. First of all, I want to thank Steve for working together to this project. I'm very excited to be here today for the presentation of this unique performance that puts together science and art, geology and music. When I first met Steve to discuss the feasibility of this collaboration, I immediately felt that we were on the same wavelength. And because we were both enthusiastic of this opportunity of exploiting a new form of conveying geology through music, and ultimately we were excited of the idea of exploring new links and new connection between art and science. Art and science are actually much closer than we generally think. They have a lot in common. First of all, they make everyone's life better, no doubt about this. They use different methods, but very often they have similar motivation. And they both need curiosity, creativity, hard work, commitments, beside good instrumentation and excellent skills. It's not surprising that many good scientists are also excellent artists. And one above all, I want to remember Leonardo da Vinci, because this year is the 500th anniversary of his death. So we are committed and we are very happy to remember him. The geophysicist Antonio Menghini, working together with the musicians Stefano Pontani, was the first to create a method for transforming electromagnetic signals from geophysical acquisition to music. His first performances regarded the complex geology of Italy, that is here represented in this slide, and that is much more active of the geology of Australia. We have a lot of earthquake, we have a lot of volcanic eruption, but this was the first area that Antonio investigated. And today, thanks to cooperation with Yusen Ley-Cooper, he is presenting Sound of Australia with Riccardo Marini and Marco Guidolotti on the saxophone. And I already suggested, Antonio, that the next composition would be on Antarctica, considering the big connection that we have, Italy and Australia on Antarctica. Now, before giving the floor to the artist, I also would like to thank again Steve and Geoscience Australia, and all my colleagues from the Italian Embassy, Giorgio Davidi, the Deputy Head of Mission, Anna Rita Tamponi, the Cultural Attaché, Mario Argenio, the Police Attaché. And now I give the floor to Antonio and Yusen.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you. We'll just stand here. Yeah. Yes, thank you all. Welcome to Geoscience Australia. It's been a really interesting putting together and work we've done to get this to go. We also would like to thank Geoscience Australia and the executive, James, for creating this culture of diversity and tolerance, and that's what sort of breeds to this intersection between science and art. So that's where we're here. Can we show the next slide, please? What you're gonna listen to today, and you'll have to put up with us talking a little bit because we are scientists. The music is fantastic, so that'll let you immerse and close your eyes and feel it and see it. It'll be also very visual. We were very fortunate to get Sean involved. So we have some satellite imagery that will take you through time, seeing how the surface changes, and then the music, so you can experience the whole thing with a little bit of the scientific understanding of these 4 sites we're gonna touch base on. So we've got 4 stars there, and they're iconic provinces, or of geological significance for different reasons. We're gonna start in the Yilgarn province, which is that red star, and that's one of Australia's most rich endowed provinces. It's where 30% of the gold comes out of, in the world, comes from that red star. Then we'll go to the Kimberley, which is remarkably interesting because of different things, but a lot because of it's important to our First Nations people. So that's up there, and we'll talk a little bit about saltwater intrusion, not much, but just it's important for other reasons. Then, of course, the red center, which is where that blue star, a lot of you guys will have heard of Uluru and things, and the Menindee Lakes, which will go and be a little bit more quirky and geeky and try and explain the decays and other things. But I just wanted to say we have a very big program called Exploring for the Future, and that's been very important for us in GA because it's given us the opportunity to bring a lot of techniques together. We in Australia have been very fortunate and sort of walking on the shoulders of very important people, have geophysical coverage of the whole continent, and this is unique in the world. We're the only country in the world that has that, and it's free. We believe in sharing the data, our scientific data, with the Australian public. That's been very important. And the electromagnetic responses, those 2 little areas we've started, we've embarked on that journey, and we're gonna try and cover the whole continent. So we have some data sets that are continental wide. We're trying to cover it with EM. And that's all from me. Can we go to the next one? And Antonio, which I welcome, is a very good friend.
Thank you. Let me thanks, first of all, of course, Geoscience Australia for this unique opportunity, especially my friend Yusen, and also the Embassy of Italy for her beautiful introduction. So eMusic is a musical scientific project that started in Italy about 3 years ago with the aim to spread geophysics to common people by means of the power of music. So it's really a musical scientific project. So essentially we use transient EM method. That is a method in which we use the earth response after an electromagnetic impulse so that we excite the earth. And the earth replies to us. So our idea is to translate the response of the earth that is represented by these very odd curves. This is voltage decay. So when the signal go deeper and deeper, we got weaker and weaker signal. So you can see that the decay rate of voltage is going lower and lower. So eMusic is based on rigorous scientific rules. We have published it on scientific paper, so it's not magician. So the first rule is that the voltage response is directly proportional to the conductivity of the rocks. This means that if I put this transient into a pentagram, I'll get higher tones for conductive layer. If I am on a resistive layer, like limestones or granite, I have a lower voltage. This means a lower tone. So we are in the left end of a piano. Second rule is that the rate of decay depends on the conductivity, once again. On a very conductive layer, the decay rate is very slow. This means that we can get chromatic notes. So they are notes very close to each other. While on a resistive rock, we have a wider interval between the pitches. Third rules is that the execution time, as you'll see in the first track, that is a pure eMusic example, you can hear that the first pitch are closer because the instrument is able to collect good signal at very early times because the signal is strong, because the signal is shallow. But when we go deeper and deeper, the signal becomes weaker and weaker, so the instrument needs more time to sample the response. This means that we'll get more sparse pitches. So this is a typical case. Let me come back to the Steve presentation. When he told about the risk, really there is a great risk, not maybe today, but usually when we perform in eMusic concert in the world, we used to collect the data directly on the field with the audience that is able to follow each steps. So they can see the geophysicists that can get the data. And so they learn in a fun way the functioning of the instrument, the functioning of EM method. And I sonify live the data, and I get to the musician live the pitches. So they have to interplay immediately with the earth. So they have to create a jam session with the earth, but nobody knows what are these pitches. For example, on the 21st of September, you are invited to join us on the top of Vesuvius volcano, in which we'll we'll perform a concert based on EM data collected directly on the site with Marco and his quartet. Of course, we need to involve jazzists because they are more able to improvise with that. So the first track is Ilgarn, and you will hear this pure music. So don't go out of the hall because it is more experimental. But believe me, the following tracks are more appealing. So don't worry. But so you will see this transient with the single pitches going later in times deeper and deeper, and you can hear is only sonification of the signal. Then after about 3 minutes, until we reach the deepest layer, we have reversed the track so that you can hear the sound coming from the depth to the surface. And during this return trip, Marco, the saxophonist, will interplay, will improvise with these pitches. So I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, I guess once again we pay great respect to our traditional traditional people and their elders. So in the yield gun where we've acquired this data, gold is usually hosted in quartz. Quartz is a white rock, and the word Yilgarn in that part of the world comes from white rock. So it's always, there's this big interplay. I guess, yeah, we can. Yeah.
Thanks.